Hey everybody, we're doing it again. I don't know why I'm so insistent on doing this series right now, considering that I'm literally putting out so much content that people can't even keep up with it. I'm putting out like hours of shit every day, and people are looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? But it's just because I'm really anxious about the fact that I'm about to move all around the country. And so I'm keeping my mind occupied by constantly making videos, and the longer they are, the more they can occupy my thoughts. And also, this is just fun. Although usually about 10 minutes in, I start getting really exhausted with it and remember it goes for a whole hour. Now, I want to make sure everybody understands, and this is late in the game to be clarifying this, but these are not reviews of these shows. This is why I dropped every anime I dropped. And the reason I need to stress that is because, like, I complained about Silver Spoon in the last video, and I was ragging on it for being like propaganda for country life. And people were like, "But that's not what the show's like. It's there's more." I know Silver Spoon's a fine show. This is not a review of Silver Spoon. It's why I dropped Silver Spoon. None of the opinions I'm sharing about these shows are even necessarily relevant to me anymore. These are shows I dropped years ago. Silver Spoon, that was 2014, you know? I have no idea how I'd feel if I watched it now. This is just why I dropped the shows I dropped. So, yeah, please think of it that way, as opposed to, like, you know, my current or any kind of well-reasoned opinion about these shows. Remember that dropping shows means nothing to me. I will drop a show in 10 seconds, and I'll pick it up 10 years later. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. Nothing matters. Just keep that in mind through your whole life at all times. Everything, every other thought you have. Nothing matters. All right. Joshiraku. Perfect example of, I dropped this show, I don't even remember watching the whole first episode. I dropped it at some point in episode 1 because I didn't understand it. The jokes were just going over my head. There was a lot of, like, lingual jokes and stuff. And this came out at a time when I wasn't really watching much anime. This is right when I was getting into the pony thing. So, like, you know, I think I clicked on it because it had cute girls, and then I was just kind of lost, and so I stopped. I've heard great things about the show, so I would like to give it another shot. In fact, that's another one that I shouldn't even keep on the dropped list. I should just mark it as on hold because I do want to watch it. Jokamichi no Dandelion. This one was from a couple years ago, and I might have talked about this in one of in that same, like, why I dropped all the summer season shows from that year. Yeah, I must have. This is a kind of a charming show. It's about, like, a giant family, and their dad is the king. He's like the king of Japan, I guess, or whatever the hell they were. But, like, so like, all the characters are, like, princes and princesses, and each one has special powers. And, like, the concept is kind of neat, and some of the characters were fun, but, like, just the style of humor fell really flat, and there was lots of, like, weird fan service that felt out of place in the show. Like, it seemed like a show that shouldn't have fan service, but did. And that made it kind of awkward. But, yeah, okay, what's after that? Right, so we started a few early because of the fact that I had, you know, removed a couple things from the list in the previous video. Jungle Deiko, this was like a comedy, fan service comedy 90s OVA. Not even that bad. Definitely, well, at least the one episode I watched wasn't as bad as this score would lead you to believe. I mean, on Mal, a 5 is a 1, essentially, or like a 2 or a 3, like on any real scale. But, like, yeah, it's just, like, kind of a goofy thing. I just, you know, didn't appeal to me that much. Junketsu no Maria. This is another one I'm interested in trying again, just because the show is a really interesting and strange, like, premise. It takes place during World War I, and it's about, like, witches, like, interacting with the war, and it's clumsy in various ways. The animation's a little wonky, and, like, it was just weird. Like, I didn't really get what the premise was of the story. But it's a Taniguchi Goro thing, the guy who did Code Geass and Infinite Revice and S. Cryed, which are all good shows. He also recently did Active Raid, which was not as good, but I don't know if he was like the chief, if he was like the actual director of that, or if he was like a supervising director. I don't remember, but he did this show, and I was interested in watching it. But like the first episode, just I don't know. I guess I didn't like it enough. I think we did this on Weebcast or something. Maybe this was before Weebcast. I don't fucking remember. No, because January. No, never mind. I'm thinking of the wrong year. Anyway, I might check that out eventually. Ninja Scroll, the TV series. So this is one my cousin Boyd had bought a couple of DVDs of back in the day because we were really big fans of Ninja Scroll. That was the movie that kind of introduced both of us to anime as a concept. He was especially really into Ninja Scroll. He was always into like violent demon shit and stuff like that. But the show is nothing like the movie. It is certainly not as good looking as the movie. It's pretty fucking boilerplate action adventure stuff. So yeah, it was just like, oh, this isn't worth watching at all. Here's one, The 12 Kingdoms, which I don't hear about this show at all anymore, but at the time that I watched this, like, maybe it's just the people I knew that I happened to be around, but this was like a really celebrated fantasy show for the depth of this character's arc, the main girl. She gets sent to a fantasy world from our world. She's like sort of a social outcast, because she has red hair, which she has to dye black just to like fit in and stuff. And she goes to this fantasy world, and she's basically all on her own, and she eventually rises up to be like a lord or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but like a lot of people really praised this show for its narrative, but like I just was super bored with it. Like I just didn't care about the character. I didn't like most of the show is just like kind of exposition or like stuff about the world, like world building stuff that I just wasn't that interested in. It just totally wasn't my kind of show. And to me, it was like emblematic of like the difference between my taste and other people, because I saw this as like the ultimate plot show. Like if you're someone who comes to anime for like a riveting story and like depth of character and stuff like that, then this is a show for you. But it doesn't have any of the fancy bells and whistles that I liked out of shows, any of the cute girls having interesting conversations and character chemistry and artistic visuals or anything. Like I just found it boring. I'd like to give it another shot. I mean, I watched 14 episodes, and maybe there's more to why I didn't like it. Like, I don't know. This would have been... I watched this around the same time that I would have dropped Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, which is now one of my favorite shows. So, like, there's equal odds that I could watch this again and find that there was more problems with it than first recognized. Or maybe I'll watch it again and realize I absolutely love it now because I'm a plot guy now. Who knows? But that's why I dropped it. Juosei. This is another like attrition drop. This one's about these two twins who get stranded on a fucking like overgrown jungle planet. I think they were like princes who had like escaped in a shuttle after their kingdom was being destroyed, and then they had to go and fucking fend for themselves. And if I remember correctly, there's a pretty big like twist in episode 2 that's very dramatic, or it happens early on anyways. But yeah, I don't know. I remember the first 2 episodes being kind of all right. I think I watched them with Victor, and then he lost interest, like he didn't want to continue. And then I think he did. I think he finished it later and was disappointed with it. Like I've heard that it has like a shitty ending or something, or that it at some point it becomes lame. And I think I remember him watching the rest of it and complaining about it at some point, which might be why I dropped it. Okay, so this is the original Studio Gohan's, or not Gohan's, Studio Gohan's overly done post-processing effects show. Someone was saying, since you liked the aesthetic of Handshakers, I wonder how you feel about K. I hated the aesthetic of K, because in K, it's just a bunch of gradients over everything, and it just looks fucking weird and stupid. And like, this is just another like urban fantasy show, like action, a bunch of cool people with superpowers fighting in the city, you know, which is sort of a genre unto itself. And I remember watching like most of the first episode and just being like, this is fucking dumb, this is lame, and I didn't like it at all. I know there's this show has definitely a fan following. It got a second season, but like what I like about Handshakers is that it's so ridiculously over the top with its visuals that it's just everything is just colors everywhere and crazy shit. People always say it hurts their eyes. I don't get that. Maybe it's because I have Flux on at all times, but it doesn't hurt my eyes. Alright, Keion Uda-on. Yeah, might be surprising that I dropped something Keion related, but the Keion Blu-rays have these little shorts that are like 2 minutes long, and they're just like kind of aesthetically gross and unfunny. And I watched the first one, I was just like, well, those are stupid. I'm not watching more of those, and so I didn't. And I always forget that they even exist. Maybe I'll eventually watch them just for completionist's sake, now that I'm such a Keion fanboy. Kagewane, this was like 5-minute short horror episodes, but they're just so badly produced that it was like hilarious almost. Kaiketsu Zoro. This I watched one episode of because of the Shinbo project, I think. That is this one, right? Yeah, this was like just a really like shittily made children's cartoon of the mid 90s. Like it's nothing to look at, that's for sure. If it's what I'm thinking of, if it's what I think it is. I might be confusing it with something else. Kaito Joker, this is like a kids show, Phantom Thief series. It felt pretty generic for like the genre. There's a lot of Phantom Thief shows for kids, and this is just another one of them. And like, it has a few too many superpowers to the point where it's like you can't really, there's too many ass pull superpowers. Like, it's just a little too goofy to have that like aha moment that makes these kinds of shows fun. And it's not like I'd rather just watch Lupin the Third because it's, for my demographic. Kaito Reina. Oh, I think this is also a Phantom Thief. Yeah, I think that's what Kaito means, actually. This one's like 5-minute shorts, though, which have pretty adorable character designs, but it's like, like a little flash animation thing, and it just didn't seem worth it. I think I covered that in a Crunchy Roulette. That's how I watched it. Kakumeiki Valve Rave. This is like Guilty Crown in that it's a show that a lot of people watched for how batshit insane it was. This is like mechs and also space vampires and like all kinds of weird shit in this show. I watched the first episode and just thought it was hella dumb, so I did not continue it. Kaleido Star. Oops, I clicked that wrong. Kaleido Star it's a show about the circus, and it's like this young girl really wants to join this like Cirque du Soleil-esque circus troupe, and she gets in, but like everything for her is super rough. This is like it's a very old school feeling shoujo story, and that like a lot of older shoujo will just be like everyone's beating down on the main character. Like they're just an innocent, pure girl who's just trying to make it in the world, and everyone around them is a fucking asshole who's constantly fucking them over. And that's what this show is like. And I cannot stand that, because I tend to like shows where just everybody's good natured, like Akagami no Shirayuki Hime, where just like everyone's super nice and they're all trying to do the best thing by one another. Kaleido Star is the opposite. There's like one good character and everyone else is a shithead. So I found that like that's eventually what made me like stop watching the shows. I just couldn't take that. And also, this show, when it came out in 2003, was like highly praised for its animation. This was Gonzo in their heyday, and it had like I think it had some CG integration and stuff, but like it was so praised for the incredible animation of its like circus scenes. But maybe this is just because I watched it from a few years too late, but I was not that impressed with the animation. Like, there is some good animation, but it's not like gonna blow your fucking mind to shit the way that the reviews from the time said that it would. It's a fairly popular show in terms of score, anyways, as you can see. Fairly beloved is what I really meant. But like, I don't know. I just couldn't really. It was the kind of thing where I watched 13 episodes because I felt like this isn't bad, so I should like it, but it just rubbed me the wrong way with the style of the story. Kamen no Maid Guy. This is a really dumb fan service show about a fucking insanely manly looking maid who's a badass, and he's maid guy. I think I dropped this one just because at the time I was A, probably a little bit more prudish about fan service shows, and B, the girls are hideously ugly, so the fan service was not appealing to me. Yeah, that's why I dropped that one, and I guess it just probably wasn't that funny. Kami-chama Karen. I don't remember watching this. I don't remember what it's about. I'm reading the description and it's not ringing any bells. So yeah, I don't remember Kami-chama Karen. Kami-sama Dolls. I do remember this because this was the moment when Brainspace began to decline for me. Brainspace is a studio who in the early days, like everything they made was super cool, and usually had like some great animation in it, and was like kind of inventive and original. Like they made Kamichu, they made Spice and Wolf, I think. They did Bakano and later Durarara. They had done I don't know if Mawaru Penguin Drum was before or after this, or even during, but like Brainspace had made all kinds of really great shows that I was a big fan of. So they were like one of my favorite studios. I think they had done Gun Parade March, which I dropped earlier in this list, and I think I had watched that specifically because it was by them. But then this show came out, and it was kind of like just a really odd, like sometimes it's like a fan service comedy, and then other times it's an action battle show. It's kind of like got that bathos effect of like really switching gears all the time, but doing a poor job of both, and they felt really incongruous with each other, it wasn't one that did it well, did not do its tone shifts very well, and the animation was like all over the place. There'd be like incredibly well animated battle scenes, and then like home life scenes that looked like shit. So yeah, it was just so all over the place and so inconsistent that I ended up dropping it after 4 episodes. And that kind of, to me, this marked the beginning of the end of Brainspace, and since then they've gone like way downhill. Like the quality of their shows now is dog shit, and has been for the last few years. I remember when Cheer Boys came out, I thought, oh, maybe they'll make a comeback and this will be a good show, and then it just like went downhill. Real fucking sad, that story. All right. Kami-sama no Memo-cho. This one was like, it's like a girl who is like a neat, or she's a hikikomori, and she like gives missions to these other guys to go like stop crimes around town or something. I just remember thinking it was fucking lame and boring, and didn't care enough to continue. Kana Memo, I think this is another drop by attrition where I intended to watch the rest of the show and just never did and said, fuck it, I'll never get back to it. This was like a slice of life, cute girls doing cute things show with a strong Yuri undercurrent, which is the main reason I was interested in watching it at all. But it just wasn't that strong. Kannagi, I don't remember watching 2 whole episodes of this at all, but did I really watch 2 episodes of Kannagi? I don't remember really watching any of this show. Maybe I did, and okay, I do remember that she was carved from a stone, or she's carved from a statue. I don't remember. I actually have this show on DVD just because my friend Danson gave it to me when he gave me like all his DVDs that he didn't want anymore. Yeah, this was a Yamakan's show that he made after leaving Kyoto Animation after getting kicked off of Lucky Star. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't like it. I guess I did watch 2 episodes and didn't like it. Kanazuki no Miko. This is a show I watched because it was the Yuri show, and I talked about this in the Yuri cast, that back then you just watched anything you could get your hands on because there wasn't enough Yuri. That I really hated this. Like, I watched the first 2 episodes and it was super melodramatic, super like over the top with its drama, and it just pissed me off. And I know there's a lot of people who really hate this show and a few who really love it, but I'm probably gonna always fall on the side of people who really hate it. Kanojo ga flag o oraretara. This is like just a regular old harem light novel thing. There's like a guy who always sees flags like as if it were a dating sim above people's heads, and so he like makes choices based on that. Watched 2 episodes with some friends and we were not impressed. Kanojo to Kanojo no Neko, everything flows. Man, so this is like a sequel or like a remake, I guess, of the short film by Makoto Shinkai, which I never liked. A lot of people loved that short film. It's about like the original short film is like a narration from the perspective of a cat about his owner. But like the cat just has like a moody fucking boring ass personality, just like a regular anime protagonist, and I really hated it. And I don't like animals in the first place. Not a big cat person. This one is just like beats you over the head with the point that this girl, like this idea that this girl she's moved out on her own, she's an adult now, and she's lonely, and she's got her cat with her, and it's like just really hammy in how it like presents that. It's just like, look at how lonely she is. Her friends aren't talking to her anymore. She's talking to her mom on the phone about how she's so lonely, but she's got her cat. And I'm just like, oh my God. At least that's how I remember it. Which is to say, not particularly well. Kanokon OVA. I had really enjoyed the show Kanokon. And then I watched the first episode of the OVA, which the second one wasn't even out yet at the time. And I watched it and I just thought it was stupid. And so I just, said, well, I'll probably never watch episode 2 of this. Canon, the original. Canon's one of the key shows. Canon 2006 was one of my first early favorite anime. I was a huge fan of Canon, and Air for that matter. It was Clannad that finally weaned me off of the key train. But I think that when Canon 2006 was airing, like before I watched it, I think I tried to watch the original just because I think it was easier to find or something like that. And made it 4 episodes in and then dropped it, and then went to watch 2006 once I realized that was the better version. This one has the hideous character designs. I tried to rewatch Canon like a year and a half ago, and I made it 8 episodes in, and it's like a 5. It's like that, like exactly level where it's like just passable enough, and you kind of like the characters, so you kind of want to keep watching, which is exactly how I feel about Clannad. Like you kind of like it because it's not offensive, but then it's also just kind of boring, and like nothing really matters that much. And Kantai Collection. I zoned out through most of this episode. Like early on, it was just trying to introduce like 1,000 characters that I didn't give a fuck about. And my brain completely hazed over. I don't even remember like watching the second half of the episode. Karas is another drop by attrition. I'm just gonna use that phrase all the time now to describe shows like this. Where, I had watched the first 3 episodes. This show is like known for its CG animation that was actually pretty badass at the time. And it was just like transforming heroes fighting, and I think the same director went on to do Garo. Are you the guy who did Garo? No? Maybe not. What did you do? Tiger and Bunny. That's the one. You went on to do Tiger and Bunny, which is a similar, CG transforming hero fight show. But this one was an OVA. And I remember that the animation was gorgeous, and I loved the fight scenes, but I could not understand the actual plot at all. And it was broken up into 2 different 3-episode, releases. Like, there was 2 different Karas OVAs that I guess are just considered one now. But, I watched the first one and never got around to the second one. And eventually figured I never would. Karen Senki, this is like a fucking really weird CG animated show that I think we watched this on Crunchy Roulette and just thought it was hilariously bad. Karen, this one is known in the West as Chibi Vampire. I think I read like a volume of the manga of this at school. Like some girl I knew had it, and I read a volume of it. And I remember thinking the manga was kind of cute, and then the anime series was like just not well made, so it was like even worse version, and I just watched an episode and dropped it. Carnival. This was some like pretty boys show by I watched the first episode of this one because it was by Manglobe, who is a studio I've had a long-standing interest in. You may have seen my useless anime knowledge Manglobe video if you go back through my history and have actually seen my older anime videos. But this one, I just like this is another one of those where I was like, I'm not the demographic for this. Like, this is clearly made for for girls who want to see pretty boys. And I think it's even like an actual boys love series. Katakyo Hitman Reborn. I honestly don't remember having seen an episode of this at all. Maybe I saw it in the Philippines or something. Maybe it was on TV, because I think it was on TV while I was there. But I don't remember watching an episode of this. But it's a really long-running shonen series. I don't think this was in Jump, was it? What was this from? What magazine? Does it tell you on here? Okay, it is Shonen Jump. When did it run, though? I don't know. The guy who did the character designs for this, I believe, is the one who did the Psycho Pass character designs. Let me check that, too, just to make sure I'm not, like, completely fucking up here. Would it have been this guy or the original author? Who is the original creator? Let's go back to the manga page. I'm now, like, I'm in the zone now, so I'm not realizing how boring this probably is to watch me do this. Why do I keep... Here we go. Story and art by... Yeah, okay. Psycho Pass designer. That's what I know it best by. I realize it's a series that, like, lots of people probably care deeply about as its own series, and not as just a footnote piece of trivia about Psycho Pass, which is how I treat it. Camphor. A show about a boy transforms into a girl, if I remember correctly, and there's guns and stuff. This show got, like, shit on by a lot of people. I think this was, like, a lot of people's first shitty fan service anime or something, like, because there's like a certain... It's one of those shows that I often see brought up as, like, oh, it's the worst anime I've ever seen by people who haven't seen, like, a ton of bad anime. And I really wonder if, like, something about the era it came out or something, like, just made it so it ended up being seen by a lot of people and, like, became their first, mid-tier show. Keijo, covered this on Finish or Fail. It's fun, and I think it's well made. It just doesn't quite have enough going for it. Not quite interesting enough. Keitai Shoujo. I think I vaguely remember watching an episode of this 10 years ago, but I couldn't possibly tell you. Chemico Deluxe. This was a spazzy comedy that had, like, some really impressive animation moments. I remember, like, this is one of those shows that I watched an episode and I was like, I feel like this is really funny and I just don't get it or something. I've been interested in revisiting it, mostly because it's a Tsutomu Mizushima show, and he's an interesting director, the guy who did Shirobako. I talked about his horror work before. He directed Genshiken, the second season, Hare and Gu, which I watched way back in the day with my brother Shade. That'll probably be on here somewhere as well on my list. And Prison School, which is also hilarious. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind revisiting Chemico Deluxe, but I don't know. Kemono no Soja 18. This is another one, not unlike 12 Kingdoms, that is really, really beloved by the people who've seen it. But I was just, like, totally uninterested in it. I think I don't remember exactly what it is I hated so much about this show. There was definitely something. I think it was that I saw it as, like blatantly dramatic. Like, it was gonna have this, it's like a kid's show with a dark overtone, and I knew where the dark overtone was going to be. It was, like, telegraphing it pretty obviously, and I just saw it as, like, manipulative. I used to really hate any show that I felt was, like, trying to make me feel something. Like, if it was obviously trying to, like, the appeal of the show was that it's going to be feelsy, that annoys me somehow. I feel like I want my emotions to be incidental, or, like at least to feel that way. To feel like I'm just watching watching a show, and then all of a sudden I feel this powerful wealth of emotion within me. Or otherwise, to be like over the top and extravagant, like a Gurren Lagann kind of thing, you know, where it's just like pounding you over the face with the emotions. But like anytime I feel like a show is trying to like elicit this emotion by like, oh, we're gonna kill the parent and that's gonna be sad, and I'm like, yeah, I know that's gonna be sad. It's always sad if a fucking parent dies. Of course that's sad. Don't do this to me. I don't know why I'm like this. I don't know what happened to me. The Mars Daybreak. This is another one of those where it's like kind of contended whether this is a good or bad show. I watched the first episode and just was like bored, so I didn't continue. Kitty Grade. This is another one I've always been kind of curious about. I saw like an episode of this on the Funimation network. I think I saw the last episode of this, which ends in like an apocalypse or something. Super attractive character designs though. The designer of this is a good. I'm trying to think of what else he did. I know he did Utakata, which I did not enjoy, but I did watch all of it. And what else did he do? Where is the character designer? Oh, it's a girl, Kaori Mizuhashi. Wait, that's a voice actress, right? No, it's. Why is she listed for character design? Because she is she also a character designer? I'm seeing like 1,000 voice roles. Okay, well these are theme song roles. She did character design in an episode. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was like, what? Kaori Mizuyashi's not a fucking character designer? Who the fuck is the character designer? God damn it. Why do you have such confusing credits on this fucking website? Is it just Keiji Goto? Like, did he... Because that name sounds like the guy I'm looking for. No, he's a director. But he's also done character designs. That doesn't look the same, though. Who did the fucking... Alright. Now I'm mad. I'm mad I don't know this guy's name off the top of my head. Because he did a lot of great design work. And I want to credit him for it. Megumi Kadano Sono. That also sounds like a woman, so I guess it's a woman who did the character designs. Either way I look at it. What else did you design? The Clannad movie. Character design. Yeah, okay. So she did it for Kitty Grade. And I know Utakata. Okay. So I'm on the right person. Rayearth OVA. Is that all that she did? Did she just do those two? So I'm pretty sure... I know a lot of people really love this designer. I don't know if she did, like... Oh, she's Keiji Goto's wife. So she is the wife of the director of the show. Interesting. See, you learn stuff. Yeah, I'm just here trying to remember the name of a character designer, and now I'm learning that the character designer and director are fucking married. Did he do Utakata as well? No? Yeah, he did. Okay. So yeah. So this is like a fucking... Were they married before or after? That's what I want to know. Did they get married because they worked on these shows together? Or did they get married and then work on these shows together? That's what I'd really like to know. But, you know, that's deeper than the rabbit hole goes for now. Angelic Layer. This is a clamp show from the early 2000s about commanding really tiny robot girls to fight each other. I just think I guess I just wasn't that interested in it. Kiguru Miku V3. This is a weird ass lolly fan service / tokusatsu parody show, I guess. And I remember I used to have a poster of it that was like kind of racy, and one of my friends like got really mad at me for having like a lolly fan service poster up, even though I think this might even be one where the characters are actually like 18 or something, which I probably argued, and he was like, nah man, nah. I don't talk to that guy anymore. Kitaro Shonen no Yokai Eniki. What the hell was this? This is from last year. Okay, it's 4-minute episodes. That's why I don't remember it. But that's amazing that I don't even remember this show. Oh, was this the one? Yeah, this guy, he goes and it's like this kid goes to live in a storehouse, and it turns out it's possessed by a bunch of Japanese spirits. And I thought the character designs were super cute, but like the show seemed like nothing essentially. Oh, Panzer World Gallant. I don't remember watching an episode of this. I know this is like an old like mech series, but I really don't remember. I must have watched it a long time ago and dropped it, like most of the other older shows that are on this list. Kill Me Baby. This is a wacky, fun comedy from 2012, and I remember at the very beginning I was excited for it because I really liked the premise that this girl is like an assassin, and she's a cute blonde lolly girl who kills people, which is right up my alley, but I just didn't think it was that funny ultimately. Kimagure Orange Road. This one I should definitely mark as on hold. I want to watch this because it's one of the most like classic rom-com love triangle shows of the late 80s. So this was one of the ones that like sort of influenced all of what was to come. A lot of what we now have in anime rom-coms like, you know, goes back to this show. But I watched the first episode of it quite some time ago, and I think I was probably just off-put by like how old it is. And I used to really hate love triangles. Like I used to have a really deep, passionate hatred for love triangles because of the fact that someone always loses in a love triangle, and I don't want that. And I hate characters just, in fact, you know what, it's not even that I used to. I still hate love triangles, just not as much as I used to. This is why I dropped White Album 2. White Album 2, we'll get to it. In fact, it's on the list, but we'll get to that. Because that's one that... White Album 2 is not a bad show. I just hate love triangles. But you know what? I'm going to mark this one as on hold, just because I do want to eventually check it out again. Kimi Kiss Pure Rouge. This one is very similar to Amagami SS. This was kind of like the predecessor to it. Like, I remember when Amagami came out, everyone was like, oh, it's like Kimi Kiss again. At least I think I'm getting the order of release there, right? As you can tell, because it's a bunch of insanely beautiful character designs, and like just a romance series about like dating all these girls. And much like Amagami, I just wasn't that into the style of it. Kiniro no Korda Primo Passo. I don't know how I made it through 4 episodes of this. This is like just a pretty standard reverse harem show, but set in like a music school. And for some reason, I watched 4 episodes of it. I don't remember really enjoying any of it. I was just kind of like, I guess I'll see where this is going. Maybe I knew somebody who really liked it or something like that. Yeah, Ultimate Muscle. This used to air on the Fox Box, so I saw a couple episodes of it on there. Funnily enough, I didn't really watch much of the Fox Box. Like, most of these shows, I dropped after 1 or 2 episodes. Like, because most of them, it came on really early in the morning, and like most of the shows are just kind of dumb, you know, it's all 4Kids dubs, and I was getting to that age where that was just a little bit more than I could take, because I was watching Adult Swim shows mostly, you know. Kirarin Revolution, I barely remember this. It looks like a transforming idol show. 153 episodes. I probably dropped this mostly because of how long it was. Like, I probably gave it a shot and then was like, you know what? This is way too long for me to possibly ever watch. Parasite. The show got off to a really strong start, and then it very quickly lost steam, in my opinion. Like, I loved the premise. I loved where it was going in, like, episode 5, when, like, big twist happens, and then the main character, like, leaves the country, and it seems like he's about to go on, like, an adventure or something, and then he just goes right back to where he was, and the show just, like, becomes formulaic, and it's just, like, fighting monsters in his fucking school, and I was like, what the hell? Like, what happened? We completely reverted on the progress it felt like we were making, and then the relationships just go nowhere, and it's all misunderstandings. It was really obnoxious. I stopped right before a second big twist that I know happens, but I never heard any good things about, like, how this show went in the second half. Okay, Gigantic Formula. This was the Brain Space show, not Gun Parade March. This is the one I was thinking of. That was like a mech show. That was like, it was really nice to look at, but I remember just not being engaged by the plot. But this was the Brain Space one. Who did Gun Parade March? Or were they both? Because I get these two confused. Because I think I saw them like around the same time. And they're both shows. This one's JC Staff. Okay, so it was Gigantic Formula. That was the Brain Space show I was remembering. Like, both of them were shows that had, like, kind of contentious ratings. As you can see, they're both, like, right below a 7. But some people I had heard really enjoyed them. So I wanted to give them a shot. And both of them I had thought were kind of interesting, but just not enough for me to want to watch the whole show. That's why I get them confused. Kiss X Sis. This is the this guy wants to fuck his sisters really bad, the show. Or they want to fuck him really bad, and for some reason he won't fuck them or something. I don't remember. Either way, it's a fan service show. It's, you know, it's a lot better than Eromanga Sensei, because it's got better fan service scenes at the very least. But it's really stupid. Kita A Diamond Dust Drops. I think I remember. This is like a like very moody, like romance thing. It's just like a soft music, soft visuals kind of a sweet little romance that's meant to be soothing. Maybe a little bit of an Ayashike. I thought it was boring, if I'm remembering it right. Yeah, Chronicles of the Going Home Club. I watched the first episode of this, and I just thought it wasn't that funny, so I didn't continue with it. I don't remember why I watched it, though. It was definitely a part of something I was doing. This is Seiki Beast Sanjushi. I watched this one because Gainax was involved with it, even though they don't, like, acknowledge that anywhere on their, like, websites or stuff. Like, you won't really see this associated with Gainax, except if you're looking at, like, Anime News Network or wherever it was. I don't know if they had much involvement with it, like... Well, it says, like, here it just says Gainax made it. But I think I remember looking at, like, a staff list, and it wasn't really a lot of Gainax people or something like that. Like, you can kind of tell it's a Gainax thing from watching it, but at the same time, yeah, they don't really seem to acknowledge it, and I think other studios and stuff worked on it. So, don't really know what the story is with that, but I watched this because of the fact that I was towards the end of... When was it? Towards the end of 2015, after I made the Hideaki Anno video, I was working on doing a video about all of Gainax's shows that nobody talks about, or, like, nobody associates with Gainax, because they've done, like, as many, like, just as many shows that people associate with Gainax. They have done just as many that people don't, like ones that don't fit the usual template of their style, that aren't, like, hot-blooded or over-the-top, not directed by Hideaki Anno or Kazuya Tsurumaki or Hiroyuki Imaishi, like shows that are just totally different and no one really remembers them. And so I watched an episode of this for that, and it was alright. It has some energetic animation and characters. If you're a furry, you should watch this show. It's a good furry show. But yeah. Kobato. This one is about I don't even remember the plot of this. It's like it's a clamp thing about a girl who, yeah, I guess she has to heal people's hearts, and I just remember thinking this character was like, I hesitate to use the term Mary Sue, but, like, she was just so cloyingly nice, and she was, like, the only character, so it was just, like, I thought she was boring, but she's, like, the only fucking relevant character, at least in the first episode. What the hell is this? 15 seconds per episode. Is this a commercial? Yes, anime adaptation of a pachinko and slot machine parlor commercials. Okay. So I didn't watch it because it was literally a commercial for pachinko. I don't think anybody will be surprised by that. You see why my dropped list is so long now? Like, I watch stuff like that. Of course my drop list is 700 shows. Kodomo no Jikan. This one... I had a long-standing interest in this show because it's the ultimate lolly show. This girl just, it's about a bunch of third graders, and this girl wants to fuck her teacher, and this girl wants to fuck her, and she's just got big tits for her age. And But the story, as I understand it, goes through like a really deep character arc. I don't really know the details of it because I've never continued the story, because this show was censored to fuck for no real reason, because there's no actual nudity in it, but they would like a character would show their panties or something, and they'd put a huge censor thing all over the screen, and so I just gave up on it because it was just annoying to watch. There had also been an OVA, which I only saw the first episode of. I don't remember why exactly. Koe de Oshigoto. This says dropped after having seen 2 episodes, so I guess this is really completed. Or maybe I only watched the first episode and watched it twice, because I don't remember the second episode. This is like an interesting, like almost softcore porn OVA that's just about this girl who becomes a voice actor for porn. And so the whole show is about her like figuring out how to do porn voices. So yeah, it's just like listening to a girl make sexy voices who happens to share... Hold on, who does she share a voice with? Is this the main girl? Mako. I remember her playing a character, the main character from Kamichu. I think that's what I was associating with her with at the time. I just remember that she was someone who I knew better as like playing cute young girls, and here she is like making sex sounds. In fact, wait, she's the main character of Fairy Tail. So if you want to hear the main character of Fairy Tail making erotic sex noises, this is a show for you. For you to watch. Maybe she plays the young version of him. I can't imagine he's voiced by a woman. I've never seen Fairy Tail. But I could be wrong. Luffy's voiced by a woman. What the fuck? Where was I? God damn it. Koihime. This looks like porn. Yeah, that's porn. Kokoro Toshokan. This one's like an older Iyashikei show that's not very pretty looking, as you can probably tell by this image, and I just was bored with it instantly. Zatch Bell or Gash Bell. Yeah, this was on Cartoon Network. My brothers were really into it. I think Shade was really into it. He was like 6 at the time that this was on TV. Fun show, man. I wouldn't mind watching the rest of this, honestly. Like, I think I tried to watch this in Japanese at some point, like to get through the whole show, and I just like after a few episodes I was like, this is fun, but there's no way I'm watching 150 episodes of this, and that's why I dropped it. There's a certain stable of shows that I would like to one day just like have a TV set up playing them. Like I'll deal with the dub, like, because the only reason to watch dubs to me is to not pay attention. Like, my biggest regret about not knowing Japanese is that I have to actively read subtitles, and I can't just have anime on in the background, which is a way I'd love to watch, like, all those Iyashikei shows. I would totally watch all of them if I could just, like, be doing something while the show is on, you know? But I can't pay attention to it if I'm not looking at it. So Zatch Bell is the kind of show I'd love to have on just in the background, for days on end until it's over. But I'd have to watch it dubbed to do that. And the Zatch Bell dub is kind of obnoxious, but then again, the Japanese voices are kind of obnoxious. Kore wa Zombie desu ka OVA. I remember this being a really bad OVA. It's like just one of those like mindless fan service ones, but it's not even like good looking, so why even fucking bother? Kotoura-san. This is kind of an unfair drop. This show has an amazing first episode. I highly recommend watching the first episode of this because it's this really heavy, dramatic, short story makes up the first half of the episode that's like really well directed and like heart-wrenching. I mean, it's a little over the top, but it's like it's just presented so well that it's like, oh my god. And then the second half of the episode is like kind of almost like you're watching a sequel to that short story about what happens to this girl afterwards. And episode 2 I remember being really funny. 3 and 4 were like okay. And then like I had watched episode 1 with my friend Donson, and he went home and immediately finished the show, and he basically said that like after episode 4 it gets lame. He was like it gradually goes downhill and was unsatisfying. And since I was kind of detecting the idea that it might go downhill, I was like, well, I guess I'll just cut my losses now and stop watching it. So yeah, not totally fair, but Kokaku no Pandora, or Pandora and the Crimson Shell. This one I was disappointed with because I had been reading the manga. I read the whole first volume of the manga and loved it. The manga is really tightly paced, really beautiful art, and really funny. And the anime, those 3 things were missing from it. Like, the artwork's a lot less consistent. It's not like, because the art in the manga is beautiful, and it really feels like it should have been like a really high budget production, because it's like a sci-fi thing. It's a sci-fi comedy. It's written by, well, it's collaborated on by Masamune Shiro. Like, he conceptualized it, the Ghost in the Shell guy. He like came up with the basic idea, and then it was written by Koshi Rikudo, the guy who wrote XL Saga, but with a totally different art style from XL Saga. Now he draws like cute moe lollies, but it's really funny and really endearing and really cool. And then the anime just, the directing's not good and the pacing's not good. And it's like, the best things about the manga, the things that make it work, in spite of just being kind of like a goofy comedy series that doesn't take itself seriously in the slightest. Like, what makes it work is how tight it is, and the anime is not tight. So I was just kind of upset with that. Okay, Kome-chan Gaiku. Oh, this one was one of the... So Gainax did this series of 3 short shows. That was the Anime no Ai no Awa Awa Hour. And it was the first show was Oruchibane Bichu, which is fucking hilarious, and I highly recommend it. And then 2 other shows, one of which I literally could not find anywhere, and this one which is only available in Japanese. And it's really short. It's like 5-minute episodes or something. 5 minutes. It's about like an office lady who's like works for a design firm, and it's just like about her daily life adventures working there or whatever. And like, yeah, there was no subtitle, so I watched the first episode and I like kind of understood it and thought, okay, that's kind of charming, but I'm not going to watch the whole show with no subtitles, or else I probably would have watched it all in one go. Koabon. This is a really fucking weird, shitty animation, a horror series, but it's all rotoscoped, but it looks like dog shit, and it's just like really basic shitty horror. Kujibiki Unbalanced, the show. This was a surreal experience because in the series Genshiken, there's this show within a show called Kujibiki Unbalance, and like in the context of Genshiken, you never really learn much about it. It's just a show that everybody watches. And then they made an OVA out of it, which is like pretty much like My Hime meets like Negima or something. Like, it's just a like high school rom-com with a battle element and like all these cutesy moe girls. Then they made the show, and like the whole atmosphere of it is completely different from the OVA. Like, it doesn't even really resemble what the OVA suggested that a Kujibiki Unbalanced show would be, which just raises the question of like, why? Like, if the idea was Kujibiki Unbalanced is popular, let's make a show out of it. Why not make it the show people were expecting? Why make it like this weird alternate universe version that like just is some show? Like, it like removed from the joke, it no longer is funny. It's just a generic fucking high school rom-com battle thing. So yeah, really weird. And it did have some really interesting animation though. Like, the art style and animation was not typical of the genre. Which was kind of interesting. Anyway, Kuma Miko. This one I just thought wasn't consistently funny enough. Really cute designs and solid artwork, but I just found the entire concept of it perplexing. And as you may have heard, this show has a very controversial ending. And really the whole slant of the show, because basically this is a show about a girl who lives in the middle of fucking nowhere as a priestess who lives with this talking bear, and she wants to move to the big city and try to make it on her own. And the entire show is dedicated to discouraging her from that. Like, it is the opinion of the show that she cannot make it on her own, that she is not capable and, like, shouldn't go. And then in the end, she gets, like, mind broken and turns into, like, a fucking, like, she, like, has the mind of a child in the end and goes back out to the mountains to live with the bear for the rest of her life. And that's, like, presented as a happy ending. Very bizarre series. No one understands what they were thinking with that one. Kuroh Phantom Memory. I talked about why I dropped this in the .hack cast because the main characters constantly scream each other's names, and one of them's name is Kuroh, and the other one's name is Kurisumasu. Because it's about this girl named Kuroh who's, like, on the run from, like, a conspiracy thing. She's, like, a project that she was, like, made in a lab, and her parents were killed, and she, like, goes on the run, and she has superpowers. And then she has, like, a clone little sister that she names Christmas because that was the happiest memory of her life, was of Christmas. And I just remember it felt like it was going nowhere, and it was just like she was always trying to, like, rescue the sister or something, and they would scream each other's names constantly, and it fucking pissed me off. Good animation though. Kurogane no Line Barrels. I just remember watching the first episode of this and it being stupid, so I didn't continue. Kuroh Mukuro. I'd covered this in Finish or Fail. I just, like, kind of don't get what this show is going for. It's got shitty mecha designs and a plot that, as of episode 2, still didn't make any sense. Black Butler. This is another, like, this is obviously not for me. This is a show that, like, this is, like, the, like, chick anime of the late 2000s. Like, every girl I knew who was into anime was into Black Butler at some point. And this is still, like, every time I meet a girl who's into anime, I find a poster or a figure or some kind of iconography of the series where they were into it at some point. But it is just, it's about pretty boys. And, I mean, it's got, like, a plot, I guess, but I don't know, man. Kuroh Zuka. This was visually an interesting show. I remember that I just kind of didn't understand it in the episodes I watched. It was from Tetsuro Araki, the same director as Death Note and Attack on Titan and all that shit. And I guess he also did Kabaneri, right? Did he do Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress? No? Did he? Wait, how do you spell? What was the Japanese title of Kabaneri? I guess he didn't do it. Who directed Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress? I don't remember. Anyway, Tetsuro Araki did Kuroh Zuka. And actually, I want to know that. I know I read a few chapters of the manga of Kuroh Zuka because I wrote a thing about it on my manga blog at the time. Okay, it is Tetsuro Araki. Is it Ko Tetsujo no Kabaneri? I'm looking at the list. Oh, it's right there. I was looking past Kuroh Zuka instead of ahead of it. I guess just because it's the only thing he only has one credit on. He's just credited as director, and everything else he's got, like, storyboard and episode directing credits, so they stand out more. Anyway, that's a fucking, I don't know why I keep doing that. Kutsuki Boshi. This is a Yuri show that is fucking terrible. It's really badly animated and really boring, and I watched the first episode of it and I fucking hated it. Though I think episode 2 might have, like, full-blown sex scenes or something, so maybe I should watch it anyways. Today in Class 5-2, this is like a bunch of precocious elementary schoolers doing precocious elementary schooler shit. I guess it's like fan servicey, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was stupid and didn't like it. Kyoukai no Kanata. This show has the most beautiful character designs of all time. And it's a horribly boring light novel action thing. I just didn't care. Like, this was one that every episode I watched would just completely lose my attention, like, immediately. I just would just zone out and be like, well, nothing that's happening is interesting or I care about it at all. And I don't like any of the characters. Their personalities all suck. There'd be, like, long exposition scenes. Gorgeous to look at, but I don't give a fuck about anything in it. Kyoukai no Rinne. This was the newest Rumiko Takahashi thing. It just... The anime is, like, really badly paced. I talked about it in a video. I don't remember what that video was called. Visual pacing in anime or something like that. Visual direction. In any case, it fell flat because of that. And also just the whole thing just feels phoned in, man. It feels like Takahashi just feels like she's out of ideas. And I don't blame her. She's been doing this for 30 fucking years. Maybe 40? She's been doing this for fucking ever. So, she's gotta run out of steam at some point. How many new stories you got in you? Anyway, where the fuck does that leave me? Kyoukai Senjo no Horizon in the middle of nowhere. I made a whole video about this, watching Horizon until I can't deal with it anymore, or something like that. Yeah, this show is just an absolute monumental clusterfuck. It's like you take a story that's already insanely complex and then you condense it into a much smaller package, and so all of that complexity has to be understood in, like, half the time, and also a lot of it's cut out. And so it's just like, I'm just looking at it and going, literally, what am I looking at? I don't know what I'm looking at. Someone explain to me what I'm looking at. And then someone tries to explain it to me, and it's like 10,000 walls of text, and I'm like, well, this is no easier. It's just too much. It's out of my range, all right? Vampire Princess Miyu. I watched the first episode of this and thought it was all right. I think this is another drop of attrition. I think I had this on my on hold list for a long time and then just figured I'd never fucking finish it. This is the OVA. There's also, like, a 26-episode TV series. Yeah. It's just like a kind of light horror thing. Well, this is obviously porn. It's just called Vampire. I don't even remember what happens in it. Ladies versus Butlers. This was, like, shortly after Kanokon. This was, like, the same character designer, and it's just like a fan service comedy show. But I really didn't like the character designs in this show, just the way it looked. Everything about it felt wrong to me. I don't know why. It was off-putting, and I didn't like it. That's all I remember about it. Lanson Masks. This is from a couple years ago. It's got a super adorable little girl, and this guy is protecting her, and he's like a knight, and he fights people. This was one that was, like, borderline. I thought I would watch more of it, but because I watched the first episode while it was airing, I did not continue. The first episode certainly didn't seem as bad as this rating would imply, but I don't know how it goes from there, so, maybe it has a really shitty ending or something. I couldn't tell you. Last Exile Ginkyoku no Fam. So, yeah, I liked the original Last Exile show. I barely remember shit about it anymore. And then this one was just really boring. And I remember it not being as pretty as the original, or maybe the original's not as pretty as I remembered. But either way, this show is just kind of like it felt like it was supposed to be a cute girls version of Last Exile. Like, Last Exile was a sci-fi fantasy, or I guess a steampunk fantasy almost. Is there a skypunk? Is that a genre? It's sort of a steampunk fantasy, like, where everybody's in airships all the time, and it was pretty cool. And then this one felt like it was trying to be like a moe version of it, like a cute Genki girl and her other girl friends who were on an adventure, and it just felt like kind of wrong. Like, why did you have to do this to Last Exile? Long Riders, talked about this in Finish or Fail. Just was not feeling the atmosphere of it. Love Live. So, okay, I'll talk about this a little because Love Live's popular. A lot of people really like Love Live. And I just don't connect with these characters at all, because my problem with this kind of idol show is that it feels like when you look at a real life idol, there is the fantasy of who they are, and then the reality. They are real people. but they're performing the idol, this like character, this avatar. The whole movie Perfect Blue is about this, and Perfect Blue is about how dangerous it is to worship the idol and ignore the human behind it, which is something that, is scary. Like, I think idols are cool, like, in concept, like, pop stars, for instance. Like, I've been to a Lady Gaga show once, right? Lady Gaga is an epic presence. She's someone who's, like, dancing and singing and doing all this shit on stage and wearing all these different outfits, and it's, like, super cool, and you feel this power from the character. But I understand that at the end of the day, Lady Gaga goes and takes a shit and goes to bed and probably fucks some people. I mean, she sings about sex enough. So, like, there's that thing. With anime, with idol shows and anime, what they do is they give you the avatar, and by stripping away the person, they give you just the idol. They give you just what is supposed to be sold to you. And I mean, you could argue that most moe shows are doing that. Moe shows don't usually show like a darker side of the characters, or they don't show the just like regular life side of the characters, They're mostly about the cutesy angle. But to me, there's something uncomfortable about seeing characters literally act like what idols are pretending to be, with no human component. It makes them totally unrelatable to me. And then the dialogue and stuff in this show, here's a brief recount of a few scenes that had bothered me. There's one scene where the girls are talking about, like, the costumes they're going to design. And the one girl's like, oh, I don't know, my legs are a little fat to wear that costume. While she's literally standing there with, like, twig legs with a huge thigh gap in between, with, like, a super short skirt. Like, the girls act embarrassed about having to wear these outfits that they're going to wear on stage that are literally no worse than their school uniforms, because their school uniforms have the most hiked up skirts imaginable because they're supposed to be super cutesy, And it's just like, they're like, oh, this skirt's too short. Their skirt was already super short. And, like, it's just lots of those little weird details. They put on a performance in episode 3. The 3 girls do a whole performance to an empty fucking auditorium, right? They're just singing their hearts out. But the sound that you're hearing is just the song playing. Like, it is a fully mixed and mastered song just playing over the show, and you're watching the characters dance and everything. And, like, it just doesn't feel like a real scene that's happening. What I love about, for instance, K-On! Is that when they perform live shows, they mix it to sound like a live performance. They'll make it sound like it's in an auditorium. You can hear the crowd noise. You can hear the echoes of their voices hitting the back walls and coming back. Like, it feels like a real scene. And Love Live never feels that way because it's the idol experience. It's just the idol. And I just find that completely uninteresting. And I don't like the characters in the first place. I just think they're all boring. They all just feel like, again, like idols, but without the humanity. To me, the most fun part about watching an idol is thinking about the fact that they're doing this Herculean task of suppressing their humanity to become this character. And these girls are just like that. They just naturally are perfect, So, yeah, that's why I can't get into idol shows, particularly Love Live. That shit drives me crazy. So that's my Love Live rant. That'll definitely be the thumbnail for this video. Love Selection. This looks like porn. This is porn. Okay. Where does that leave me? Love Stage. This is a yaoi show that I actually really liked. I watched the first 3 episodes. The reason I dropped this one is it's another 10-episode show that doesn't go anywhere by the end of like a manga that's longer. Like, this was one where I think I was watching it while it was airing, and then I had it on hold, and then, like, as soon as it ended, and I was just like, oh, it's like that, so I'm not going to do it. I'm telling you, man, I'm really sick of getting to a 10-episode show, and then knowing I have to read the manga, and they're never going to make another season. But this one's a really charming yaoi show. It's about this guy who, he's an actor who's really girly looking, and they had made him play a girl in this commercial, like, where he was, like, the flower girl, and this guy was the not altar boy. What's the boy? What is the ring boy? Is that what they do? I don't know shit about weddings, But these two, they start as the kids in a wedding commercial. That this guy, whose parents are both actors, his parents were the ones getting married in the commercial, and so now they're grown up and they want to redo that commercial, but with the same actors all grown up. So he has to dress as a girl, and this guy falls in love with him as the girl, not realizing that he's a guy. And then neither one of them thinks they're gay at first, but oh boy, do they learn. And he also basically rapes him. Like, this guy basically rapes this guy, as I understand it. But it's a cute, fun little show. And this is also yaoi, Loveless. This one I dropped because it was just a bit too melodramatic for me. This is another one that, like, all the girls I knew were into back when I was in high school. But more underground than Kuroshitsuji. This one was like, just like all the girls I knew online were super into it. So I gave it a shot, but yeah, it was just a little too melodramatic for me to continue with. Luck and Logic, talked about this in the Weebcast, really weird, like, card game adaptation show. Didn't seem terrible, but it also didn't seem like it was worth watching. Lupin the Third, Part 2. So this is the one that was on Adult Swim back in the day, and I probably saw, a good 10 episodes or so. It's not bad. It's just 155 episodes, so I don't think I'll ever watch all of it, but I like Lupin. I liked Part 4 a lot. It was on my, top 10 list of last year, I think. So, maybe it was top 20. I don't remember how far I put it up there. M3, I may have watched 6 whole episodes of this. This was were there mechs in this? I think there were mechs in this. This was it was like a mecha teen drama show, like a dark and edgy version of The Breakfast Club, but not good like Kisniver. But written by the same person. I think it's Mari Okada. She wrote both, if I understand correctly, if I remember. Yeah, I think she wrote Kisniver as well. And they're very similar in tone, very similar in characterization. I feel like maybe Kisniver was an attempt to make up for this one. Like, this one kind of failed, and no one liked it very much. And Kisniver, made good on the promise of this show. And if I remember correctly, this is another one that had the same problem I always have with Mari Okada, which is that the characters are all, they have all these interpersonal relationships and all these things they deeply care about that I don't care about, and it makes all of them boring. Yeah. Maburaho is an OG trashy harem show, high school harem thing. Yeah, who cares? I don't even know why I watched an episode of it. Makademi Washoi. This is like a spazzy comedy show with some light fan service about like a magic high school, but it's like really over the top humor. And I don't remember that much about it. I didn't even know I'd watched that many episodes of it. I do remember some kind of funny scenes. And I mostly remember that one time I had a sex dream about this girl. I don't know why. It was like the first anime sex dream I ever had, of maybe 5 or 6 that I've had. But yeah, that was weird. Didn't even really care about that girl or like her that much, but that happened. Macross 7. I watched 2 episodes of this because I watched him with Ghost Lightning, who is the biggest Macross fan in the world, and he loves this show. This show is stupid as hell, but it's really endearingly stupid. It's about this guy who like they fight against aliens and stuff, but he doesn't want to fight. He wants everybody to make peace, and so he has them listen to his song. That's his thing. He says, "Listen to my song," and then he plays rock and roll music in the cockpit of a mecha and changes everybody's hearts and minds, and that's how he deals with problems. It's got some cool music, and this girl who's super fucking cute, Mylene Genius, she is fucking great. But yeah, it's pretty dumb, and it's really long, which is the main reason I dropped it, was I figured I'd never watch all 50 episodes. But yeah, I watched it with Ghostlight. And then Macross Delta, which is the most recent Macross. The first episode was kind of fun, but it was also a total clusterfuck, and I just was like, I don't know if I could watch 26 whole episodes of this, which is kind of how I feel about most of the Macross entries, to be honest. Mad Guy, The Labyrinth of Magic. I watched this show Okay, I had a video about this. I recorded a 20-minute rant about A1 Pictures while I was shit-faced, and I threw it away because it was so stupid. But basically, I was watching the show while really drunk, like knockout drunk, and it somehow immediately and deeply felt unsettling and wrong to me. And I like completely hated it. Like the whole first episode, I was just like seething with rage over hating this show. Something in my drunk mind was just so mad, and I was blaming A1 Pictures for it, even though it's like not even that. Like it's not like an A1 Pictures aesthetic show that much. Like but the things about it that were driving me insane, and I just like turned on the camera and just ranted for 20 minutes about it. But it was so like I was so drunk and it was so unstructured that when I watched it back, it was just cringeworthy. So I got rid of it. That was like back when I was doing the random ass recommendations videos. Maha-Rathah Heartful Days. This is a cute little charming show about this guy like moves into an apartment complex, and it's just like there's a bunch of cute girls who live there, and they do stuff together. It's comfy, but it wasn't strong enough to carry me through 26 whole episodes. This is back when back in an age when anime could just be 26 episodes for no particular reason. There's no way that would be a 26 episode show if it came out today. Mahono Angel Sweet Mint. This is an older magical girl show. I think I watched this one for the 1991 project as well. And like most magical girl shows, I watched the first episode and went, yeah, that was pretty fun and all right, but it's 50 episodes, so I'm never going to watch it. That's pretty much my stance on every magical girl show, such as the very next one, Fancy Lala. This one's a transforming idol show, though. Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes. Thought it was okay. I will never finish it. I will probably never finish it, so I just marked it as dropped. And I think I had that one listed on hold for a long time. But Negima. It's I watched a few episodes of this on the Funimation network, and man, they really fucked up the character designs in the anime version of this. Like Ken, what's his name? Ken Akamatsu. He draws cute girls, you know, that's what he's known for, is that he can draw a cute girl or two. The show really just like, their faces look terrible. Just like To Love Ru. Like the first season of To Love Ru or Toraburu looks like dog shit. And the manga is beautiful. Such a shame. Maho Shoujo Raising Project. I covered this in Finish or Fail. It's just about like watching cute girls die. I don't see the appeal. I want cute girls to live. Oh, that was the last one. Alright, that's it for this video. See you in the next one, because apparently I'm going to do this whole fucking list. Oh my god, this is way over time. God damn it.